Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I'm your host, Charles. Along with me, as always, my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Galoth. How you doing today, Jacob?
I am okay, Charles. How are you?
I'm great. I tried to do that intro a little bit softer, a little bit slower. You know, make sure all of the letters and all of the words were heard, and I think I was successful.
Okay. That's good to know.
I have a TV show for you this week.
You do?
Yes,
That's
I do.
Awkward, because I prepped one.
Oh, shit. Well, okay, how about this? We'll say them both at the exact same time, the entire things, all right?
Okay, ready?
Ready?
Set.
3, 2, 1. Space sitcom. About space. Ba-ba-da-ba. Hey-da-ba.
We
my
said
space
it at
show
the same
is
time
called...
at the same frequency, and I think they merged a little bit. So I think you now have our joint pitch in your head now.
Oh, great. Fantastic. Yeah. So you can take
I'm
credit
taking
for this
all
pitch
the credit
that I
for
wrote.
this. Yeah, this is mine.
That's fair. You know what? I wanted to make a space sitcom like we used to do, like our classics, Space 7-Eleven, that was Space TSA, right? Falling Up, still one of my favorite titles. Falling Up, I really like it. So I wanted to
you should make a show
classic.
Falling Down. I think that would be good.
Yeah,
a sequel maybe, or maybe completely unrelated. Just called Falling Down. And people are like, well, don't you always fall down? And you're like, well, did you see Falling Up? The whole show is just an advertisement for Falling Up.
I was thinking maybe it could be a reality show, and we put cameras in the bottom of stairs, and we make the stairs really, like, slippery, and then we just film people falling. And, you know, then the entire show, after the initial fall and the laugh track plays, it becomes like a court case. Because they sue us because we're a TV show that just... Yeah, exactly. I think that would be a good show.
And it's not even like a joke court case, like acted out. This is the real court case that we have live broadcasted.
Oh, 100%.
The whole time.
Has to be. And it's every week. It'd be great. All right, so I had a lot of different names for this show, right? Orbital Idiots, Low Orbit, Leaking Atmo, right? But I was like, those don't really speak to me. Leaking Atmo I liked until I realized it's basically exact same thing as Oxygen is Overrated, which was my last space sitcom show, you know? So I decided to go with...
Was that your last space sitcom show?
Yeah, I know.
Surely
it's been a really long time.
Between.
Well, there's been space shows.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, there were space shows, but there's no space sitcoms. No, like, situational comedies. There are a bunch of characters in one location, and shit happens to them. I haven't done that since Oxygen is Overrated, which was a really long time ago. You're right.
I don't know if that's true, but while you talk about the show, I'm gonna search for something to prove you wrong.
So my title is Low Atmo Interference, right? So, it's about a group of space degenerates.
What is Atmo, by the way? What is low Atmo?
Atmosphere.
Like AT... Oh, okay, gotcha.
Low Atmo, like an atmosphere. Yeah.
Okay.
So, here's the premise. A group of space degenerates run a pirate TV station that plays early shows... Jesus Christ. Earth shows. I can't read my own handwriting.
Early
Earth TV shows. Yeah, early Earth shows. Earth
like
TV shows from
Holy
the late
shit, they
20th.
should be our shows. I'm telling you.
Well, I was thinking about that. Because they could be, but only if any of our shows get made. Right?
They don't have
play
to be.
TV
if
shows.
only this show gets made, we just make up our shows as the shows.
No, because I'm gonna get to it. Shush.
Okay.
The TV shows from the late 20th and early 21st centuries. They spend their days discussing TV, messing with each other, and avoiding the orbital constabulary, which is basically the Empire, right? They're these, bunned up nerds who run around and be like, you can't be playing that TV show. That's not cool, right?
Okay.
And so I'm going to tell you what the premise of the episodes are, which is we are going to, whatever network picks us up, we're going to pick shows from their back catalog and have those shows be the show that they're watching and talking about, right? So, like, for example, my first episode is Friends, and they're watching Friends, obviously, and that's the show they're broadcasting to the planets, the nearby planets and stuff. And we use that show as a jumping off point to then discuss various topics that us, the writers, want to talk about, right? Like that we watch Friends, and then the whole episode is revolved around understanding human, mating rituals and stuff like that. So that's kind of how the shows or the episodes are gonna go. Is you're gonna
Charlie,
get like,
may
all
I
right,
interrupt for a moment?
Yes, interrupt.
I've discovered a flaw in your thought process that Oxygen Overrated is your last space sitcom.
Okay, well,
Station 1516. I'm sorry. I hate to be the guy, but that is also a space sitcom.
What was Station 1516 about? I can't remember.
You don't remember? I remember. That's weird because he pitched it, so I'm surprised. It was like,
I know.
There was people on a station, Earth got destroyed, and it's just all their little their life on the station. They're, the last 3 humans. I think one's like not exactly human, maybe like a cyborg or something.
Yeah, okay.
There's some with corn. There's a whole episode about corn.
Oh, there is. I remember the corn episode. That was a good episode. I like that. Episode.
But
yeah,
sorry
you're right.
to totally throw you off the rails there.
That's fine. How long ago was that episode then?
That was 139.
Oh, so it's still been 40-something episodes. Yeah. Actually, exactly 40 episodes.
So let's see. I'll interject again later in the broadcast.
All right, please do. So I'm going to talk about our characters right now. So we have Ted. Ted is the lone human of the ship whose biology, culture, and psychology is constantly experimented on by the rest of the crew. He is easygoing most of the time, but becomes high-strung in the face of authority, right? So he's just kind of imagine like a slightly more intelligent Philip J. Fry, because I have also been playing with the idea that maybe he's a time traveler. Like maybe he's a guy from our time who just happened to wind up on this space station, and now he has to contend with all these crazy aliens and their weird, ideas and cultures and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's an easygoing guy, but he's like, just imagine a dude who smokes a lot of pot, right, and drives a lot. So he's really cool and relaxed, except when there's a cop nearby, and he's just so anxious the entire time he can't he can't blink, right? His eyes are just wide open because he's stoned out of his mind, but he's also really nervous. That's sort of the personality type that we've got with Ted. Our second character is Seamus. He is a horrific 8-armed, green-hued monstrosity who acts as the ship's DJ, producer, and engineer. He has an encyclopedic knowledge of Earthling television, but knows little else, right? So he's got... The thing about Seamus's species is they have multiple brains, but each brain can only contain knowledge related to one specific subject, right? Okay. So Seamus has one brain that knows things about running the ship and running the computers and all that stuff. He has another brain that understands TV programming and how to section things off and get shows ready to run. And then his third and final brain just knows everything there is to know about Earthling television, right? So he is kind of he's sort of like a Rain Man style character. He's very smart in very, very specific areas, right? So he doesn't understand the culture that created these TV shows, but he knows how many episodes of The Simpsons, right? They make reference to Dr. Gregory House, right? That sort of thing. So, that's the kind of character we've got with Seamus. Then we've got Dr. Screep. They call him Doc for short because Screep is not a nice name for somebody to have. She is a small, hairless creature who resembles a red panda crossed with a naked mole rat. She has 14 doctorates in Earth society, spanning the birth of Christ until the fall of the United States of America, and she believes in spreading Earth culture so that people may learn from their mistakes. She is very committed to the pursuit of knowledge above her relationships, right? So she's a scientist. She's got a ton of doctorates. She's a genius, but she's also kind of like a horrible little gremlin monster with like saggy, floppy skin. And she looks like how, like, you ever see a hairless cat? You imagine a hairless cat, but twice as much skin. And they can walk on their hind legs. And it's something that looks like it should have fur, but it doesn't, right? Okay. And she's very, very smart, but she's also very much committed to experimentation and figuring things out, and will often, that experimentation, that desire for knowledge, will overcome her relationships with her fellow crew members, right? Like I said, Ted is a normal human, so she's constantly doing experiments on him, on his psychology, on him physically and emotionally, to like kind of get a feeling for what humans are like. But you know, it kind of makes her and Ted have kind of a contentious relationship at times. Then we have two more characters, so we're almost done. Cream is a ninth dimensional being on an exchange program. They are only able to appear as a small carton of cream, but maintain a curious and excitable attitudes toward all the strange cultures of this plane of existence. Right? So Cream is, like I said, like imagine Batmite, but they don't have like all of the crazy reality warping powers. They just are a little carton of cream that can like communicate with these beings through telekinesis or you know, mentally speaking to one another, because they don't have a mouth. And they're on an exchange program.
Just to clarify here, the carton of cream, right? Is this like size-wise? Is this the little tiny things you get like restaurants that are like just enough to put in one coffee, or is this like is this a little bigger? Is this like, you know, a carton of milk size? Like,
this is like, you know, those cartons of milk you would get at school. Right.
Okay, that is. I was actually just about to say that. Yeah. So it's like the little quarter cartons.
Exactly, like a quart, like a I don't know. Is it a half pint? A quart. Yeah, 1 quart of cream. But it's you know, a cream being. And the thing is that
are there is this like adorable? Like, are there? Is she the entire carton, or is she just the cream inside the carton, and then you have to like open it so you can hear her, and you can see like a little eyes and a mouth or something?
I mean,
are the eyes and the mouth on the carton? Or is this like adorable?
I was thinking that
terrifying.
I was thinking it was not either. It was literally just like how we would do it on the show is we would go to the grocery store, we'd buy a carton of cream, and we'd put it on a desk, and then we'd have somebody record a voice in the background. Like there would be, it's as low tech as it possibly gets. It doesn't have eyes or a mouth or anything, but we can do that. Like you open it up and there's a whole thing in there, but that's not really ninth dimensional, you know?
I think it would be funny if she was just the cream. So if we're going to do this thing where it's literally just the carton on the table, I think it'd be funny if you have to open it.
That would be funny.
So you can hear her, and if someone doesn't want to hear her anymore, they can close the carton. Says
they close. I do enjoy that, but yeah, 100%. You just close it, and maybe there could be an episode where she's like, you know, I'm really sick of this carton, and then we have like a fashion montage of the cream being in various different containers. You know, they put it in a shot bottle, put it in a pint glass. Yeah, a bottle, like 15 shot glasses. They just line up and fill with the cream, and they're like, oh yeah. And she finally just decides to go back to the regular cream carton because everything else is terrible. And Cream is not a gendered being. They are on an exchange program from their dimensional plane to this dimensional plane, and it will be like mentioned ever so slightly in throwaway gags that they had another crew member. Like, I don't know, I didn't have a name for him. Let's just call him like McGee. They have another crew member named McGee, who's like an alien or a robot or whatever. And every once in a while we cut to McGee just in like this endless void of like spinning, you know, polygons. And like also whenever a character falls into a dimension beyond their reckoning, it's just like all this horror just surrounding them. It's just screaming, you know, profusely into the darkness. Just like, oh yeah, I'm sure McGee is having a good time in his, you know, exchange program as well.
Oh yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Well, another thing. Do we have anyone that's like kind of an asshole a little bit?
Well, I like to think that all of these characters are kind of assholes, but the biggest asshole would be Doc, because she is constantly like abusing her power as kind of the brains of this operation in order to like, you know, satisfy her intellectual curiosity, but B, also just kind of like fuck with people and like get what she wants and that sort of thing. But we have one more character to get to.
Wait, well, if I can just toss a joke in real quick. At some point, the Doc should use the cream in her coffee.
Oh, that would be good.
Or maybe just continually throughout the show she's using it, and then like by the end of the show there's like only a little bit of cream left in this carton.
Mm-hmm. I think it would be funny if we just have one episode where she uses the cream in her coffee. It's like, what's the worst that could happen? And then Doc and cream kind of meld into one being, and she becomes like, her third eye opens and she levitates everywhere, and she's like this huge blue hue, and she like is able to manipulate reality, and the rest of cream has to like figure out a way to get her ninth dimensional powers out of this third dimensional being and all that stuff. You know, that would be a good episode. I don't know what episode.
And the whole thing gets revolved at the end when she just has to, like, there's a huge, you know, like trying to get it from her, trying to get her to give it up willingly, and it all just ends because she has to go to the bathroom.
Exactly. Perfect cyclical ending to the episode. We start with Doc being like, God, this coffee by itself is just making my stomach makes my stomach grow bad. Let me add a little bit of cream to it. Maybe I'll reduce the amount of acidity. And then episode ends with her going to the bathroom, getting rid of the cream. There you go. Perfect episode of television.
Oh yeah, and she like originally drank it because she was like, I don't know, constipated or something. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And our final character is Tivo 6000. Do you remember Tivo?
Yeah, I remember Tivo.
Yeah, I just thought it would be funny. Sort of. Is it?
I mean, I think it still exists. I don't think it's used that much.
I think it would be funny if they run a pirate television network and their AI that runs the ship is Tivo, just like millions of years more advanced. But the ship's AI, who provides the whole of human creative output, even though the crew only watches TV. She is exhausted but enjoys her job, even if she never lets that be known to the rest of the crew, right?
Aww.
So that I think it's funny that she has everything that people have ever created, every novel ever written, every painting, every song, everything that people ever made. She has access to all of it. They're just like, let's watch The Sopranos again. Can we watch the final season of Game of Thrones? That was my favorite one. You know, that sort of thing. And she's just like, you sure you don't want to listen to Beethoven? Nah, I want to watch season 19 of The Simpsons. Let's see Family Guy again. You know, that sort of thing. But she enjoys her job as being like the kind of motherly not even motherly figure. She's just kind of, she helps run everything with Seamus. They're the two that are really in charge of running the station itself. And they also are in kind of a relationship, you know, even though one's a horrible 8-armed green monster and the other one's a robot. They're kind of in a sort of a relationship with one another. And so I've got a few episode ideas right here, but I don't have a ton. And I think that this is where we can have some fun with the episodes, right? So, Episode 1, Friends. The crew watches Friends, and while Seamus and Ted discuss a break and the complex mating rituals of humans, Cream and Doc enlist Tivo to create a hard light hologram to seduce Ted, so that they may study love's effect on people. After dozens of failed attempts, they confront him with like, why the hell didn't you fall in love with our hologram? We based it off of every Earth, movie ever made, every Earth TV show ever made. This is the perfect woman. By all accounts, this is, she's gorgeous, she's smart, she's funny, but she's not too funny and she's not too smart, she's perfect. And then he's just like, oh, you guys, I'm gay. This is not my, I'm not into chicks. Wah, wah. end of the episode, because they didn't understand that gay people exist, because they only watched Friends, a show from the 1990s, with no gay people.
I'm pretty sure there is.
Who?
I'm 100% sure, actually, because Ross's ex-wife...
Oh, yeah, Ross's ex-wife is lesbian. No, but that's not really the point of the show.
That could be the joke, because I don't know if there's any gay men. I think there's just lesbians in the show. At least I can't remember.
Yeah.
So that could be the thing.
I can't either.
I thought that was just women that had that. So, or that did.
There you go.
Like that could be the joke.
But yeah,
they didn't understand that there are gay men.
Yeah. So that's kind of that's gonna be kind of the formula for each episode. Is we're gonna see like a scene or a clip from a well-known or maybe not even a well-known TV show, and then we're gonna have two of the main characters. It's not always gonna be Ted and Seamus. It's gonna be every combination you can think of, discussing the like implications of what that means and about Earth society and how that would work. And that's the like first 5 to 10 minutes is us putting our own words into the mouths of these characters almost, and discussing like mating rituals for human beings. They're very complex and unnecessary if people ever just talked to one another. But the shame and anxiety and fear that dating inspires in people often results in them not approaching each other and going after the people that they're interested in, and then we'd have the adventure of the episode kind of revolve around that in some way. Sometimes it's going to be very directly, sometimes it'll be more tangentially related, you know? So that's the setup, and I'm going to tell you about MASH next, and I want you to think of a TV show that we could do. So, Ted and Cream are watching MASH, and they talk about war and conflicts between nations over resources, while Seamus and Tivo go on a date. Doc then puts Cream and Ted into a virtual war to hear their hilarious patter, because Doc was also watching MASH, and she saw the war and was like, well, these doctors are fucking having a laugh. They're having such a good time. They're making martinis. They're telling jokes. So that's what war must be like. Instead, Ted breaks down and is locked into an insane asylum, and Cream becomes a merciless killer on the for the Allied forces, murdering Germans by the dozen, until Tivo and Seamus get back and put an end to all this nonsense. So that's that's what the thrust of the episode is going to be, is that Cream is given a physical form, but it is just an adult man's body with instead of a head, it's got a carton of cream on it. And Ted is also there, and Ted is an absolute abject coward and begins crying at the first, like, there's a shelling or whatever, and he's like, I don't like loud noise. He gets yelled at by an authority figure, and he just like breaks, and he's sent to like a Midnight Express style like prison, where he's just like, his sanity is slowly dribbling out of his ears. Meanwhile, Cream becomes like the perfect soldier, John Rambo style, and goes like, through all sorts of different, German, I'm assuming it's World War II, but it could be any conflict. Going through all sorts of German barricades and into the trenches, and just like killing Germans by the dozen with like no remorse or like any feelings of regret about the lives that they have taken. And meanwhile, we're cutting between that and Seamus and Tivo just on a nice date out on the local planet, and they go out, and maybe we give Tivo like depending on how you want to do it, we could give Tivo like a cool, sexy lady hard light hologram body, or we could give Tivo like a Karen from SpongeBob style, just a TV on a stick that scoots about. Either way, whichever one would be funnier. And we have them going out on town, they're having a good time, maybe they get in a little bit of trouble, they go, it's a whole thing, almost entirely silent, and then they get back and Tivo has to put everything right because Doc has been messing with her hard-like holograms, and they have to erase Cream and Ted's memories because they're both damaged beyond recognition from the horrors of war. And then it's just them and the episode ends with them sitting on the couch yet again, watching MASH and laughing at Hawkeye like stirring a martini as he cuts open a man's torso.
Damn.
All right, that's episode
on Cream's body thing in that episode. Yeah. I was thinking. Mm-hmm. So wouldn't be funny if the way it was worked was the cream of the carton is just in the guy's mouth, and whenever Cream wants to speak, it just opens the guy's mouth, but it's just a pool of cream like in his lower jaw.
Very funny. That would be really funny.
And the way you can get cream out of it is like, getting the liquid out of the guy's mouth. Maybe he gets punched in the stomach and he spits it out, or it comes out of his, or maybe it's a joke that's really funny and it comes out of his nose. That'd be good too.
Oh, that would be really good if it just everywhere, and then he had to like pick it back up and like put it back into his mouth. It was really gross.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets cut, like hurt, and instead of bleeding blood, he bleeds cream. That could also be funny. Because Cream is the most like out there character, so their physicality isn't really. It's important, but it's more important for the sake of comedy than anything else.
Yeah. I also had an episode idea if you would like it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, so the show they'll be watching. I just realized you said 90s, and I picked How I Met Your Mother in my head for this. So it'd have to be a different one, but it doesn't matter.
It could be How I Met Your Mother.
For the example, we'll go through How I Met Your Mother. So there's an episode where they do like Barney's origin story. Barney, a character in How I Met Your Mother, and like they do how he became like this womanizing asshole. And it's like, how he joined he was originally like this really sweet guy, and he was in the Peace Corps, and it ended because his girlfriend cheated on him with like some rich business guy, and then he decided to become just like the rich business guy, just to because his old ways obviously didn't work, is what he was thinking, and he destroyed himself to become this other thing. And I'm thinking they say that and they're like, oh, like they watch them, they're like, that's so silly, nobody has origin stories, like, Tivo, what's your origin story? And like somebody asked Tivo that, and like but they don't actually care for the answer, and we go to this like really sad origin story of Tivo, like way off in the past. And, we start, and it's like Tivo is like, on someone's TV, and then they get neglected over time because people, you don't need Tivo anymore.
Yeah, you have Netflix.
It gets worse and worse, and we see like, the fall of, nations, and, Tivo left alone in like this desolate nuclear wasteland, like all alone, just this single, TV box. And like, someone coming through the wasteland and picking it up and making it part of their ship, and caring about Tivo, and then they die, and it's really sad again, and Tivo drifting in space with no purpose until eventually being connected with this group.
The station.
And it's like they have a family again. Yeah. Station 1516, you can call it.
No, I won't. I'll call it Station 1615.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. No, but what would be a good name for this station? Because it's a pirate TV station, so all human art has been banned by the authority. So
what do you call it when you pirate TV?
I just call it pirate TV. I mean, pirates with broken wires.
Pirate television. Is there like a word for it?
I'm googling it. We're giving it a googs. You think of TV shows. Name.
This is all that I'm thinking about is what would we call it? Because then you could have the show, because it's like, it's like they're pirating TV, but I don't know if there's a word.
Bootleg TV is the name. Bootleg TV. I wouldn't mind calling it the bootleggers. Yeah.
Bootlegger. Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Seinfeld is another 90s TV show.
It doesn't have to be 90s. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for it to sound like it had to be 90s. I was gonna do. Yeah, it could be from late 20th century, so I would say from the 1960s up until the 2020s, because that's where we are in history.
Yeah.
Like all the TV shows in there. So I wouldn't think we would do like the Honeymooners, because that's too far back. Nobody's gonna fucking know that. Or I Love Lucy. But we could do like Columbo. That could be fun if we did. I've never seen an episode of Columbo, but it would be fun if we did Columbo or the original Star Trek. You could do. I was always planning on doing a Simpsons, because I think it'd be good if we had like what the like, you know, nuclear family, that's ridiculous, that doesn't make any sense. And then each one of the characters falls into their specific role as a member of the nuclear family. Yeah. And that's just how the episode progresses, you know, regularly. Is like Seamus is the dad and Tivo is the mom and Ted is Bart and Doc is what do you call it? Doc is Lisa, and then Cream is Maggie, right? And that's just like, those are very much, they're similar characters in that way. Or maybe we do Ted is Lisa and Doc is Maggie, because Doc is Bart, because Doc's always trying to do nonsense, you know? So, and they just fall into that. For the Simpsons episode, they would watch an episode, they would talk about like the history of you know, the Reagan era nuclear family, and then they'd be like, that's ridiculous, and then they would fall into those roles, realize they're in those roles, try and break out of those roles, and just fall into separate roles. Like, Seamus doesn't want to be the dad of the group anymore, so he becomes the, you know, the rambunctious kid who doesn't get their work done, and just naturally Ted has to become the father of the group, and then maybe there could be like a love triangle where Tivo gets attracted to Ted, because Ted has become the more dominant of the characters, and then Seamus has to like fist fight Ted, but Seamus has 8 fists and Ted only has 1, and also Ted's not interested in Tivo at all, you know, that sort of thing.
I like that.
Absolute rambunctiousness. What other TV show? Maybe we could do a Doctor Who episode where they talk about Doctor Who and they're like, that's ridiculous. Science fiction, history, fantasy, all of it wrapped up into one that doesn't make any sense. I don't know what they would talk about with Doctor Who, because it's kind of like Earth Explained Poorly. If you remember that show from a few months ago, where it's each episode has sort of a philosophical edge to it. There's a reason that we've picked these TV shows to talk about. There's a subject that these TV shows touch on that we want to discuss. But we also, you know, make fart jokes and they get into fistfights and there's kissing and violence and stuff, you know? But I don't know what the philosophical, psychological reasoning would be to talk about Doctor Who, except for the fact that people can't ever just let things go. Nobody can ever let things die. Maybe that could be the episode. The thrust of the episode is nobody.
Doctor Who's still going on.
Yeah, it's 60 years old.
If Doctor Who's still going on in their world, and
yeah, they bring back David Tennant again.
David Tennant is still the Doctor.
Yeah,
he's back.
The 600th anniversary. David Tennant is back as the Doctor for the 57th time. And he's now just like this decrepit old man who's being kept alive by like robots and machines, and he's just like getting what's that fucking movie called where they Weekend at Bernie's. They're just Weekend at Bernie's-ing him around, and he's like alive but just like technically, not actually, that sort of thing. That could be fun.
That'd be good.
What other TV shows
are good? A Seinfeld one. I was thinking the Chinese restaurant episode where the whole thing is set in the Chinese restaurant, and it's like, you know, Jerry is trying to get the table, and Elaine's really hungry, and Kramer's like in and out. George is constantly phoning a girl that's supposed to meet him there, but he's missing the call. It's a whole thing, right? And they they're like, you can't have an episode in one location, and maybe throughout this they've been showing that they're ungrateful to Tivo. And so after they finish watching the episode, Tivo shuts the doors because they're not grateful to her. And so you have to have like, who is it, Seamus that has a thing with Tivo?
Yeah.
So like he's trying to like, you know, sweet talk her on like a payphone they have in the back, but it's like becoming sort of a relationship talk with them.
Yeah.
We have some people, you know, arguing about, you know, how clean the place is or whatever. And, you know, it's supposed to be like a, you know, they're all cooped up and trapped in this place and they're slowly getting frustrated over time sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's good. I like that. Pardon. And Cream can be Kramer, because Cream just like, because it's not actually the carton of cream that is cream, it's the cream inside that is cream. They can just like push the carton over and squeeze under the door.
Yeah.
So they can fuck off and do whatever they want.
And come back and...
Yeah.
And they don't even realize that they're trapped. Like, they keep saying that they're trapped, but Cream, it just sort of goes over Cream's head somehow.
Yeah.
And so she's just, like, going in and out, and it's not really... doesn't really understand that they're trapped. You're like, why don't you just leave? Like, what are you doing?
Exactly. That's good. I like that. Any other TV shows that come to your mind, specifically? I think we need to do one more TV show.
What's your favorite sitcom, Charlie?
My favorite sitcom is Red Dwarf, but that is kind of like that's out there, obscure. You know?
Yeah, it might be
exactly. That's what I was thinking. Well, I was thinking we could do like modern shows too, if we wanted to. We could do like
Family.
Yeah, Modern Family. Or I was thinking The Book of Boba Fett, because we don't like that show.
Oh.
I don't like that show. I don't know how you feel about it.
It was okay.
Yeah, it was fine. But I think it would be a good idea if we could do The Book of Boba Fett and then just like have our characters talking shit on it and be like, why do they keep reviving these old characters? Why can't they create new original intellectual property for people to use and enjoy rather than just coming back to the same well that was filled to the brim in 1979, but now it's just this, dead horse that they've been beating for money for the past 20 years, that sort of thing. And then we can
that's all right, but haven't you mainly been doing sitcoms here? I'm kind of confused now.
Yeah, I've mainly been doing sitcoms, but it's not only sitcoms. But we could just do sitcoms if you want.
I mean, it's up to you. I didn't realize that we were doing other shows until just now.
Yeah, well, let's think of a different sitcom then. What's a good sitcom?
Modern Family.
Let's do
Schitt's Creek or
Modern
Brooklyn
Family.
Nine-Nine.
Let's do Modern Family. Modern Family's good, and they could have like an episode and they watch and it's like, wow, this family, why do they look to camera and talk to the camera? Is this a real documentary?
Yeah, great.
Yeah, of course. And then they're like, no, this isn't a real documentary. It's a fictional documentary. Okay, it's a mockumentary. Okay, that makes sense, but why would it be entertaining that this is a documentary? Well, it's like, well, this family is so different from one another. How are they different? They all have 2 arms, 2 legs, faces, tongues, eyes. They are very, very similar to me. Well, at Earth at that time, it was not as reasonable to see 2 men kissing and having an Asian daughter, or, all this stuff. And we could have like a little bit of a talk about how hateful people are sometimes. And then we'd be like, all right, and then turn to camera, stare, do the gym stare from The Office.
Oh, The Office is another show we could do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Forgot about The Office.
100%.
That's a huge one. How did we miss The Office?
I have no idea.
Parks and Rec,
just thinking
also another big one.
Parks and Rec, my second favorite sitcom of all time.
Arrested Development, also one we could do.
Yeah, you're right. There's almost infinite potential when it comes to this premise, because they're just watching TV.
And that's why the show's called Infinite Potential.
Yeah, exactly. Now, actually, the show is called Low Atmo Interference. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I'm your host, Charles Long, and with me, as always, is my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and co-pilot. Did I say that already? I don't care. Jacob Gloth. If you like what you heard here, you want to hear more, please give us a like, a follow, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, tell your cat, and remember, we will be here next week with a brand new televisual series for you to imagine off the bloody dome, mate, because this is episode 179. Oh, yeah. Gonna be great. All right, see you guys then and there. Have a good one.
Goodbye.